In a recent tweet, President Biden said that he will not extend former President Trump's signature tax cuts once they expire. The president said Donald Trump was very proud of his $2 trillion tax cut that overwhelmingly benefited the wealthy and biggest corporations and exploded the federal debt. That tax cut is going to expire. If I'm reelected, it's going to stay expired. The chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee wants to ask Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen about that tweet when she testifies in front of the committee this morning. Joining us right now ahead of the meeting is the Ways and Means Chairman, Congressman Jason Smith of Missouri. And Congressman, Chairman, let's talk this through a little bit. Let's play this out maybe the best we can without getting too involved in re-elections and elections and what's going to happen in this next outcome. How does this all play out for the American people?
Well, at the end of 2025, every American will see a tax increase because more than $4 trillion worth of taxes will sunset December 31st, 2025. That includes the doubling of the child tax credit, which was $2,000, will be slashed into half to $1,000. The larger standard deduction, which the majority of Americans use when they file their taxes, will be more than cut in half. And the small business rate will approach over 40% after this sunset. So it's quite disturbing that you have the president doubling down once again that he will allow the Trump tax cuts to expire.
What we've been hearing from people we've been talking to about this, that the more likely scenario is that much of this is going to stick around. As you mentioned, a lot of these are really popular programs, whether that be the child tax credit, the standard deduction, the earned income tax credit. Is there the likelihood that there would be some sort of coalition in Congress that would pass a slimmed down version?
I sure hope so. If you look at the Tax Relief for American Workers and Families Act that the House passed with 84% of the vote, had numerous provisions from Trump tax cuts that have expired or they're starting to expire, including research and development expensing, bonus depreciation, interest deductibility expensing, and also the child tax credit. It's over in the Senate right now. That's a first step. However, next year, you're going to have to look at Republicans and Democrats working together. That's why last week I set up 10 different tax teams within the Ways and Means Committee to break up the tax code, to work with other members of Congress and also stakeholders so that we do not allow these taxes to sunset.
The idea that we keep hearing is that you do have to have pay-fors for some of these things. How would you pay for it?
Well, if you look at how we did the Trump tax cuts in 2017, there was numerous pay-fors. One that has gotten a lot of conversation is the SALT cap. The SALT cap at $10,000 created more than $800 billion in pay-fors, which there's numerous other areas to look at. There's some tax provision that we believe are only tweaked to focus on special interests, and we need to eliminate those, try to flatten the base and spread it out.
Congressman, we say there's no such thing as alternative facts, but if you talk to a Republican or a Democrat about those tax cuts, I hear alternative facts. In that tweet where the president said that the vast majority of those cuts went to wealthy individuals and corporations. I think it was yesterday or the day before we had our own Robert Frank on. It wasn't 62% to lower income people for tax cuts. How much of that tweet is factually correct? And we don't talk about fact checking President Biden very much, but the other guy's got to be fact checked. If he, even see him walking along, he's got to be fact checked. How much of that tweet is true?
Joe, thank you for that question. If you would look at my congressional district, which is one of the poorest congressional districts in the nation, working class Americans, median income households around $40,000 a year, under the Trump tax cuts, if a family of four makes less than $63,000 a year, they will pay zero in federal taxes. That's real tax relief. In fact, if you analyze the 2017 tax cuts, people who make less than $100,000 a year averaged a 16% cut on their taxes.
Congressman, I guess if you get into the SALT deductions or the SALT cap limit on these things, what we've heard is that the SALT idea entirely might go away, any exemptions for state and local taxes. cost of living is a lot higher in some of the states up this direction, like in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, California, than in Missouri. And $43,000 is a much lower standard of living for someone in these areas. How do you balance that out?
Yeah, that's what I've said all along, especially when looking at the SALT deduction. We are going to have to find common ground and balance because it is a real issue to the folks who live in New Jersey and New York and California, some of the higher taxing jurisdictions. But in places like Missouri, Texas, Florida, it's not nearly as significant of an issue. You have the fights on both sides. Should you subsidize other states? This is a huge debate. That's why that sunsets in 2025. That $10,000 cap on SALT is completely eliminated and it returns back to normal. But also the AMT comes back, which was also something that drastically affected the people in, for example, New York.
But so is there any common ground, or the answer is we're still working on it?
Oh, I absolutely think there's common ground. And I think that the tax package that we just passed with 84% of the House of Representatives, which was negotiated between myself and Senator Wyden, who's the finance chairman on the other side of the building, that shows that Republicans and Democrats can work together in economic policies.